Thank God for Jesus. We bless him and honor him, love him and celebrate him for all that he is. He's so wonderful. No matter what you deal with in your life, even when you feel like you're all alone, when God said that I will never leave you nor forsake you, he meant just that. It doesn't always mean that he'll do an abracadabra and make all of your troubles disappear. You can rest assured, though, that if he doesn't make your trouble just go away, God will come in the trouble with you. And he will see you through. God will sustain you. God will strengthen you. He will develop you. He will settle you. He will establish you. Right in the midst of everything that you deal with, God will come right in the midst of your fire and sit in the fire with you and will deliver you through it, because there are some things that you have to endure. Jesus asked Peter, he said, "Do you love me?" And he responded and said, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." He said, "Well, feed my sheep." And what more would we feed him other than to feed him the bread that we are? Jesus said that I am the true manna come down from the Father. And if he is the true manna that came down from the Father, he's the bread of life to you. He's the bread of life to me. But bread has to be baked. It has to go in the fire. And there are certain things that it's not even about the fire, it's about what you become in the fire. And there are some things that you can't become without the temperature in your life changing. And you might be fighting and saying, "Lord, I don't know why in the world you have me going through what I'm going through. I don't want to go through this. It's hot in there, Lord. Please deliver me from the fire." And God says, no. It's not about what you go through. It's about what you are becoming in the process. I'm baking up something in your life where I can serve you to the world. I want you to be a blessing. I'm causing something to change its form. You're too gooey if you don't go through the fire. Nobody wants just some wet kind of dough. We want to be able to partake of bread that has been properly baked, that has sat in the fire, and the fire has accomplished its purpose in changing us into who God has designed us to be. There are certain forms that you can never fully take on until the temperature of your life changes. And so don't always try to hop out of your fiery furnace before you're done. And so he wants us to be done so that he can serve us to the world, and you can be a blessing to all who will partake of who and what God has made you to be. Well, if you would open your Bibles to the 14th chapter of the book of Job. Job chapter 14. This is part 2 of handling frustration. Handling frustration. This is one of the most outstanding characters in the Bible to perhaps deal with frustration, because the Bible says that Job was a perfect man, one that walked upright and who eschewed evil. And yet, all 10 of his children died, and his body broke out in boils. And storms came, and this happened and destroyed his livestock and cattle and all of that. And he hadn't done anything wrong. And yet things were going wrong in his life, but he had not done anything wrong. And how frustrating is it to experience setbacks in your life and disappointments in your life, calamity in your life, adversity in your life, and you didn't do anything to deserve it. And trying to understand, Lord, what is it that I'm doing that is causing these negative series of events to happen in my life? And Job is going through a myriad of conversations in his own mind and in his own heart. And so in Job chapter 14, notice what he says, because of what he's going through and not able to understand why he's going through it. He says, "Man who is born of a woman is a few days and full of trouble." This was his perspective at the time, that we're just here for a short while, and he's like, and our days are full of trouble. He comes forth like a flower and fades away. He flees like a shadow and does not continue. And do you open your eyes on such a one and bring me to judgment with yourself? And then notice down in verse 13. He says, oh, that you would hide me in the grave. Things were so bad in Job's life, Job was wishing for death. You ever been there where you just actually thought about it? You might not have gotten a serious plan where you actually wrote it out exactly how you were going to do it. But for a fleeting moment, that there was so much pain in your life that death seemed like a pleasurable option. This is where Job was, where he says, oh, that you would hide me in the grave, that you would conceal me until your wrath is past, that you would appoint me a set time and remember me. And then notice what he said, if a man dies, shall he live again? He was wondering here, now if I kill myself, if I were to die right now, am I going to live again? Is that going to be the end of it? Is there a finality in the grave? Is there a finality in death? He's frustrated out of his wits. And then he says, all of the days of my hard service, I will wait till my change comes. I like the way the old King James Version says. It says, all of the days of my appointed time will I wait until my change comes. And that just lets you know that there are going to be some epochs of frustration in your life that you just have to endure, but a change is coming. I know some people get tired of hearing that a change is coming, that God is going to do such and such, that your day is coming, your ship is coming in, your blessing is coming, it's on the way. And you've been hearing that for so long, you're frustrated at hearing it. It's like, well, where is it? I'm tired of hearing promise of stuff, then I'm not seeing the results of it. I'm ready for my harvest. Are you ready for anybody ready for harvest? And you feel like I've been planting seed in my life and I am now ready to see some stuff come up, because I've helped folks when I didn't have much to give myself. Jesus, I need my harvest right now. Right about now would be a real good time to send it. Anybody else feel that way? And this is where he is, but he's come to a place, a resolve in his life where he says, all of the days of my appointed time will I wait until my change come. And you don't wait for something to come unless you know it is there for sure, unless you know that it already exists for you. Who would stand on the corner? Would a woman stand and wait for her husband to come and pick her up if she doesn't have a husband? He knew that change was coming. He knew that change was coming. If you know that change is coming for you, then you wait patiently for it. But there are some extenuating circumstances that can happen in this life that can cause you to be frustrated out of your wits. And I've taught you that frustration is a deep, chronic sense or state of insecurity and dissatisfaction arising from unresolved problems or unfulfilled needs. And so it is interesting, remember again, that frustrate comes from the Latin word that actually means to deceive. In the midst of frustration, the devil is trying to use your emotions to deceive you into thinking that life is going to be this way forever, that things will never change. When you get frustrated, it's like, I'm sick and tired of dealing with this, and everything that I have done up to this point is in vain. Nothing is working, and I am frustrated out of my wits. And so that's the devil's tool. It is to try to use frustration to fool you into believing that what you are believing in and what you are working toward will never, ever happen. Remember, part of that word is frustra, which actually means in error or in vain. And so it is to give you this feeling of futility, that what I am doing is in error. I've been believing for the wrong thing. I thought they were going to change, but they're just not going to change. They are not going to change. I thought that this was going to be the one, but this is not it. And so it is, you begin to feel, when you are frustrated, that I am in error and everything that I am doing has been and is in vain. And as I said, there's sometimes that we are so frustrated on the inside, and we have this tremendous ability to act, to put on the face. You know what that's really called? It's called hypocrisy. The hypocrite is one who puts on the face of another. It referred to acting. It was an acting term, that you put on the face of another and you acted a certain kind of way. So somebody asks you, how you doing? You're frustrated out of your wits. You say, oh, everything's fine. And you are churning on the inside. You're so frustrated. You have sleepless nights. Your digestive tract is not what it ought to be. You're having problems in your back. You got a pinched nerve in your neck, and this is nothing but stuff that is stressing you out because you are frustrated with them crazy folks at your job. Your money is funny, and folks calling you, asking you for money that you don't have, reminding you when they call you that you don't have the money. And you get frustrated over somebody even expecting you to have something that you can't deliver at the time. That is frustrating out of your wits. And so I've told you that when they asked one man how was he, and he said fine. He said that he was fine, but he was using fine, and they didn't know it, as an acronym for frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotionally unstable. You ever felt like that or seen somebody that you know who doesn't react very well to things that they don't like? They have a deep chronic sense or state of insecurity and dissatisfaction arising from some unresolved problem or some unfulfilled need that they perceive that they have. That's what happens when a person is frustrated and they are out of control with their emotions. May I just remind you of this, is that if you're going to be able to react in a proper way to things, you're going to have to put the right kinds of things in front of you. So your study, what you study, will determine your attitude. And then your attitude will determine your gratitude. And then your gratitude will determine your servitude. It's amazing how all of that begins based on how a person thinks, how they think. Because your study determines your attitude determines your gratitude, and your gratitude determines your servitude. When you realize that even though you may not have a lot, but I am thankful for what God has done for me, it allows you to be able to serve others out of your gratitude. Because you have studied the right things. You put the right things before you. I've said to you before, don't put things in front of you so that you can see them that you don't want in your future. If you don't want it in your life, don't look at it. Because whatever you behold constantly, it's what you're going to become. Whatever you behold, it's what you're going to become. And I want to just share some things. Anybody single in the place today? Single folks. Wow. May I address the single people for just a moment? May I speak some profundity in your life? Because I know, there's nothing more frustrating than to want to be hooked up and then not find cooperative, quality individuals, that are compatible with you. I want to share some things. I want to share just 3 things with you. Just 3. I could share a list of them, but I'm going to share just 3 that can help save you in tremendous frustration in dating. Anybody interested in knowing that? Oh, goody, goody, goody. Whenever you're dating, it's important to know these 3 crucial things. Number 1, the person that you're getting involved with, it's important to know the history of their decisions or their habits. It is important for you to know the history of their decisions or habits. It's important for you to know the history of their decisions or habits. Because if they've got a history of where they've never been able to make good decisions. Now, I know everybody makes mistakes. I'm not talking about perfection. But if they have a history of never being able to make good decisions, of always making just spontaneous, impulsive decisions, which end up getting them in trouble. They have a history of making poor decisions, or they have a history of terrible habits that end up causing them to be in trouble, offending people that then cause them to lose their job. I mean, check their employment history. And if they've got a different place of employment almost every 6 months, I mean, that's a sign to you. It is a history of their decisions and of their habits. You check that, just their decisions and their habits. That'll help you. Number two, knowing what their daily routine is. Just knowing what their daily routine. Because success or victory is located in a person's daily routine. You show me what a person is doing on a daily basis in their life, and I'll show you where they'll be 5 years from now. Because the secret of success is not achieved in a day, it is achieved daily. And if you're not doing the right things, working on the right things, see, you will only become tomorrow more of what you are becoming today. So you have to check and see what are the daily habits in this person's life. What are the daily habits in their life? Because don't think that anything miraculous is going to happen 20 years down the road if they're doing the same thing today that's not working, or that is keeping them at a level of mediocrity. If you're doing the same thing, you have to analyze, what is it that I'm doing every day right now to impact my future? What am I doing? If I want to improve my future, if I want to improve where I'm going in the future, I need to take an examination of what am I doing on a daily basis. One of the great things about powerfully successful people is that they get up early in the morning. You got people that are sleeping half the day. Now, I understand if you work the graveyard shift, I don't expect you to work from 11 to 7 a.m. and then be up, from then on, you got to work it, but in a way where there is a sacrificial investment of your time. Sometimes the earlier part of the day, whatever that early part of your day is, when you start early, it adds length to your days. You see, there's a promise that if you walk in obedience to the word, that God will give you long life and length of days. I don't think that those are the same thing. Long life, I believe, is living a long time, but length of days means that God will bless you to be able to get more done in less time. You can literally get more work done in the wee hours of the night than you can in the middle of the day when interruptions are coming and your cell phone is going off, and then you got some instant message coming up here, and then you got this coming in your inbox, and this is happening and that's happening. If you have uninterrupted time early in the morning when your mind is clearer, if you'll make the sacrifice to just get up just 30 minutes earlier, start off, if you're real sleepyhead early in the morning, start off just 15 minutes earlier. You will be surprised of what just 15 additional minutes to your day will do. I cannot tell you that when you get up and you spend time with God and will make time to honor God first thing in the morning, God will help to order your day. God will begin to bless you in incredible ways. You'll find some secrets in just observing the daily habits of a person. So you'll know whether or not you got a spiritual person or not by what they do once a week on a worship day, but what their daily habits are. Do they make time for God each day? I don't mean just saying the grace over their food. I mean time to be able to seek God early in the morning so that you get the mind of God, the wisdom of God, the divine favor of God, where you're saying, God, I'm getting ready to go out. I need you to go before me. And I need you to be my rear guard, that you take up the slack from things that's trying to sneak up and come behind me that I don't even understand. See, we get frustrated when we don't even understand what God is doing in our life. God knows things that we don't know. And when you learn to trust Him, God will begin to do awesome things in your life. It would be wonderful when you're on top of the world to be able to live on top of the world and on top of the mountain. I've been up on top of mountains, and the view is absolutely breathtaking and incredible, but the air is thin. You don't breathe as well when you're on top of a mountain and the altitude is high. You don't breathe that well. I've been there. I've seen the perspective from that, and then I've looked over and seen other mountain peaks, and I said, oh wow, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could just leap over on that mountaintop? But you don't go from one mountaintop to another. Did you know that the shortest distance from one mountaintop to the next mountaintop is coming down the mountain, going in the valley, and then ascending up the mountain is the shortest way to get from one mountaintop to the other? And if you don't understand the mind of how God designs life to go from mountaintop to valley to mountaintop, you don't go from mountaintop to mountaintop, you go mountaintop to valley to mountaintop. Have you ever in your life had an experience where you've been on top of things one day and the next day something takes you down to the ground? Where you were dealing with a blessing here and then this thing comes to take your money away. Where you were feeling great here and now your body comes under attack here, and you were up and then down and then up and then down. It is actually the shortest distance to be able to get from one peak to the next peak is to go down through the valley. The way of the valley is the shortest distance to get to the next mountaintop. And if you don't understand that if life were just on one level of mountaintop experience after mountaintop after mountaintop after mountaintop, you would get very bored. And if life were valley after valley after valley, you would get bored. But life doesn't go just on a straight line. Life goes mountaintop, peak, and valley. Mountain high, valley low. Mountain high, valley low. Mountain high, valley low. Mountain high, valley low. That's the rhythm of life. Even if you're laying in a hospital bed, and if your heart is hooked up to a monitor, it goes beep, 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 beep. And as you're going mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. Systolic, diastolic, systolic, diastolic, systolic, diastolic. You are constantly mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley. And if you ever stop beating with the heart, you flatline. And your desire really is not to flatline. You really don't want to flatline because you are dead whenever your life flatlines. You better thank God for the mountains. And you better thank God for the valleys. I thank God that his blood reaches to the highest mountain and it flows to the lowest valley. There is always the ups and downs of life. There are ups and downs of love. Don't ever think that everything is always going to be hunky-dory. I know that you would just love to just keep it right here. Oh, baby, can't we just always be sweet to each other, just look at each other in the eyes and just treat each other like this all the time? But it's going to be some days where you get up in the morning and you realize, valley low, valley, valley. But let me just remind you that whenever you're having one of your valley moments, you know the next thing that's in the pattern is that I'm coming back up to another mountaintop. And the lower the valley, the higher the mountain. I declare to you that God will take you to some things. It's all right to be in the valley because you know where your next move is. You know when you're down and where it's so low that you got to reach up to touch the bottom. But you know there is a mountaintop that the mountain calls you, where he is saying, come up hither, come up hither, come up hither. I want to show you something up on this level. And so you go mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, because that's the rhythm of life, and it's just your heart. Beep, 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 beep. Systolic, diastolic, systolic, diastolic. And you're just getting the rhythm of life. And you ought to just tell people sometime, I'm in my flow. Don't worry about it because I'm a little down right now because there's a valley. I'm on my way back up. I really only have two positions. Either it's where I'm up or I'm getting up. It doesn't matter which one it is with me. Either I am up or I am getting up.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Until next time, God bless you.